Agency Uncensored. Agency Uncensored. With Ben Harper and Joyce. Agency Uncensored.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Agency Uncensored. I am Joyce.
Ben Harper.
And together we're running this podcast called Agency Uncensored, where we're going to be going over the nitty-gritty when it comes to running an agency, starting an agency, and everything in between with that. We're very excited to kick this off. But we're first going to go into kind of who we are and why you should listen to us. Ben, if you want to go and kick that off.
Sure. So, as mentioned, Ben Harper. Right now, I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at Brandwell.ai. But I've had experience in agencies the whole way through. So I'll tell the story, probably easiest, I guess. So I started out as an intelligence analyst in the police randomly, working organised crime, looking at all sorts of criminals and organised gangs, and then kind of took that experience into business, mainly because police work doesn't pay, and they're the same people you're looking at most of the time. Literally. So I went from there to a company called Johnson Press, who are a big publishing house in the UK. They publish local newspapers all around the country. And within about 3 months of being there, as the young guy in the digital office, you can do the marketing, right? I was like, okay. So I ended up with $1 million PPC budget under my wing with never having any experience in marketing ever before, local media. Did that for a couple of years, working with agencies, hired great agencies like Cara Media in the UK and people like that, which was a great experience. They were really great with me in terms of helping me understand what's going on at that point. From there, I went to work for an agency who are a social media creation and data analysis agency. So we worked, this was 2012 when the Olympics were in London. We ran the Olympics accounts for the UK government. We ran Purple Ronnie, Vice, the Kooples, fashion brand, Sprite, all sorts of brands like that through Facebook at the time mainly. That was a great experience, really high-end agency stuff. From there, I was in London. Then I came back home to where I live a few hundred miles away to an agency who were content marketing, link building, digital PR agency. I was there for 6 months and kind of by that point could see that I can do this myself. So me and one of the other managers at the time went and started our own agency after that experience, 6 months later, called Datify, which we launched in 2013. We grew to about $1 million ARR, I think, at the time. Hired 10 staff. With some cool clients. That ran for 4 years. Then we sold that to a private equity firm, which is a whole other episode in itself. That was an experience. Then had a little break and then started a company called Clarity Stack, which was a business intelligence lead gen type company specifically for agencies. So we're helping agencies find more work, basically. And that kind of ended a couple of years ago. And then now I'm here. It's kind of my whistle-stop tour of what I've done.
And what do you do here?
So here I'm Chief Revenue Officer. So I run sales, marketing, partnerships, customer service, all those sorts of things to help customers, particularly agencies, to find us, experience us, get the best performance with our tools. We have a suite of tools. The main one right now is Brandwell, which is very agency focused, allows people to obviously run clients through, create automated content and use our brand publisher network to build their links, all that sort of stuff, which we won't go too promotional right now, but we'll talk about another time, I'm sure.
Right.
But yeah, that's kind of where I come from.
Yeah, that's a fascinating journey. It's very surprising that you're not working for the CIA. Starting working for the police and going from there.
I did once have an interview at MI5, which is where James Bond works in the films. I literally went to the interview process and it was wild.
Yeah, it could be on this would be a completely different podcast if you did. So tell us about the CIA. Tell us about MI5. Got any secrets? My journey is a little bit different. I started out as a freelancer. That was one of the main things I did. High school dropout, worked at call centers, did sales for T-Mobile. From there, it grew into creating Facebook fan pages, and then from a freelancer, that kind of graduated into becoming mini agencies. I had several of them. One of them was called Social Frenzy, which I ended up selling to a private seller, and he actually had me join the company. And it was not a good time. I did not enjoy that at all. After about 2 or 3 months, I found out that I just really didn't enjoy working underneath somebody that I didn't really agree with.
Yep.
If they were making poor decisions, I couldn't back it up and I couldn't believe in anything that we were doing, and it ran into so many problems. But that just grew into me being consistently wanting to start something. And so a while back, about 2-3 years ago, I started an agency called Crush It Content. We did viral loops and videos for entrepreneurs and for founders and trying to get them to create more social content. And that was doing really, really well. And then I completely stopped that to work here at Brandwell. And I haven't looked back. It's been fantastic. My background's basically just all media. Like from the time MySpace came out, I was creating, HTML layouts for MySpace pages for bands, doing marketing for bands. I've worked in marketing for various different companies when it comes to there's one, Secret Direct, which is actually an MLM. We can get into that in a different episode.
Yep.
In my experience there, but lots of a very vast marketing background, mainly in video and creating content.
Yeah. I think that's cool too, because you're very media, video driven. I've done a lot of paid SEO, so we kind of cover both areas a lot as well, which is kind of cool. So
yeah, and there's
a lot to share.
There's definitely a lot of in between, and there's small pockets of experience in there too that we'll definitely get into throughout the episodes. Yeah, so what can you expect from this podcast? We're basically going to be going into, kind of like we mentioned at the beginning, everything that it takes to, one, start an agency, grow your agency, and even just selling an agency. We have Ben that's had a successful exit of an agency, so it'd be good to get all those insights, starting from the beginning, all the way to the end, and all the stories and lessons and learnings that you can gain from that. We're also going to bring in guests. We're going to bring in people that have experience currently that are running agencies. Maybe they're running challenges. Maybe they're doing something very unique. We're going to try to get their perspective and see what it is that they're currently doing right now and give you those insights in podcast format.
Yeah, and I think what's really important with the guests is that we don't want people who are just going to come on and promote their agency and say everything's great. Some agencies are great, don't get me wrong, but they all have a challenge. They've all got a problem somewhere, and that's kind of what we want to talk about. We want the honest stuff, not just the promotional marketing spiel. So that's going to be kind of our criteria. We're not going to bore you with hearing from an agency who's going to talk about their amazing journey with no problems in it, because if we find them, then they're probably the only one ever. Right. So yeah, we're going to be pretty picky with that to try and make sure we get real truth, because that's what we want to hear. That's what we want to talk about. So
yeah, I think that the name fits. So Agency Uncensored is basically, obviously we will have episodes that are explicit, but the main thing is what is the underground stuff that people don't usually talk about in their agency? What are the shortcomings and pitfalls that people have, and how do they overcome them? I think that part of the journey is just as important as, the how-to of starting, you set up an LLC and this is how you get a client.
Yeah.
It's but what happened when you got 5 clients at once and you just didn't have the capacity? Those are things that people don't usually talk about, and those systems that people set up and all that kind of stuff. It's really interesting that I think that we can absolutely tackle and deliver on this podcast.
Yeah, and now that we're out of it, I can share things that I wouldn't have shared before. Right. Campaigns that went horribly wrong. Right. And why?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have shared that when I ran an agency, because you would never have worked with us ever again. But we can share that now.
Yeah.
So, there's some cool stuff that we can bring to it.
You can follow us on social media at Agency Uncensored, and you can also follow me on LinkedIn at Jeff Joyce. You can type in AI after it, and the picture with the orange background, the guy wearing all black, that's going to be me. Ben, what about yourself?
Yeah, you can find me under Ben Harper. Don't Google Ben Harper, because there's tons of us. But generally, you find me under Ben Harper 87. So I'm on YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn. I think I'm Benjamin Harper to kind of differentiate, just to make it complicated. But yeah, you'll find me on there.
Awesome. We look forward to taking this journey together and having you guys tune in each week. And until next time, I'm Jeff Joyce.
I'm Ben.
Adios.